So Juad,
All right, welcome to Carvel Office Hours, which is a place for you to come and bring any discussion topics you wish to have with the maintainers of Carvel, or if there's any questions or help needed to use the Carvel tool suite. This is that opportunity to do so. We meet every second and fourth Thursday of the month at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. These meetings are being recorded. Please read and abide by our code of conduct when you attend these meetings. Today we have a little bit of a light agenda, but as we go through the meeting, different things that might pop up, I encourage you to add them to the discussion topics, or if there's any questions that arise, you can add them down here in the open questions help needed section. So looks like we do have something that just was added. New scenario on copy with rename proposal for image package. The proposal URL. Okay. Who wants to go through this? And would anyone like for me to stop sharing my screen so that would it be better suited for them to drive?
I know that John and Eli would love to comment on this, but I'm going to take a stab on it. So basically what we're talking here about is the proposal to when you copy images from one place to another, to one registry to another registry, you're able to change the default renaming that is done. So currently, by default, all the images, when you copy a bundle from registry A to registry B, all the images are added into the repository of the bundle. So they lose all the information about where they're from, and that is helpful in some cases. So that's the general gist of it. It has a lot on this particular proposal, and to be fair, I don't think we should like cover everything. People should look into it. But in talking with Dimitri today, he realized that there was something that could happen that we were not thinking about, and that is if you do have a registry that is replicating the images to another registry, the way we had this proposal would not work, because we were storing the URLs of the location or where the images were being placed in an hard-coded place. And because when you do replicate the replication, the other registry might have a different name, might have a different URL, which means that we would be, when you'd be doing a pull or we're doing another copy, you'd be getting the images from the original registry instead of the replicated one, even though you are trying to get from the replicated one. Does this make sense as a problem?
I have one sort of, I'm following along the front and the tail end of the problem. There's like one point in the middle where I'm not quite connecting, and that is what is the user doing when or not able to do? There's something happening in there in the middle where they have replication configured, yet they're trying to do an image package copy. So they want to relocate the ultimately, is that about, I want the images lock when I pull down to be pointing back to the replicated registry B, that internal repo. I want when I pull to get my images lock to like point back to that. That's what they're trying to accomplish?
So like the easiest way I think about this is, let's imagine you have all your images in a registry in North America,
Okay.
but you are in Asia and you are replicating this registry to Asia, right? And when you're pulling an image from Asia, you want to download the images from there because it's going to be much faster, for example, right?
Right.
So the problem that we currently have is that we are storing the information about where the images are, like the location of the images, in another OCI image. And it's pointing to the North America registry. So when you're trying to pull the bundle from a replicated, in this case, Asia registry, you will get the images from North America and not from the Asia registry. So that's a problem that we kind of realized today. So maybe it's helpful. Nancy, allow me to share my screen. Okay.
So where's the bundle live that I do a pull against in this scenario? I'm aiming at the Asia registry, right?
Yeah, you're pulling from the Asia registry, or
Uh-huh.
you're doing any operation from there, from that side.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and part of the challenge is, well, if it gets replicated, the images.yaml, the images lock, all that thing, that list of images, well, that got replicated, doesn't get changed, and so all of those references are pointing back to North America.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe it's easier if we just look at how we are storing that information.
Okay.
So as part of this change, we are talking about, like, there's this kind of problem that we don't know where the images live after the moment that you copy them for the first time, because they could be all in the same repository, or they can be in different repositories that might not even be related to the name that they originally had, right? So the proposal, what was trying to, the way it was trying to fix or to help there, was it was going to create here. It was going to create an OCI image that contained a file that is called, let me see if I can find it. I forgot the name of the file. Images location. It will be in the root of the file system. And it's going to be the only thing that the image has. And what it's going to have is basically a translation from this image. It is now here. And if we think about, like, the example that we were talking about just right now, the yet another registry.io, it is our North America registry. And we have an Asia registry.io that we are trying to pull our images from. And this is a replicated registry. So image package does not do any operation to move the images to this Asia registry. So now when you're pulling, the only information that we have about this image is that this image now lives in this yet another registry.io. And we don't want that. We want it to be on the replicated place, right? So this was something that today Dimitri and I were talking about, and he thought about this scenario. So this is like a problem. It is a major problem. I don't think it is like a major issue, but it is something that we will have to address. And this came up because we were talking about another another point here, that was this destination. So let me see if I can have like a more interesting. Okay, so let's take a look at the API. So when you're trying to copy from like a registry A to a registry B, an image, what happens is that you can create a couple of overrides of images. So basically what you're saying, image package, is that this particular image is going to be copied into this particular place. And by having the registry here, you're kind of telling people that it would be okay for you to copy one image to a different registry because you have to put it there, right? And that could be a problem. So one thing that, yeah, and that was
Hey,
one of the open questions that we had.
can I just want to make sure, I want to keep being able to stay following here. So the the meaning of that first override is that anytime you see this repo reference, so any image that is sourced at that repo reference, it will, during a copy, get relocated to a completely different registry. Um, which may not be the location that I gave on the command line.
Yes, and that was something, that was an open question that we had. Let me see if I still have it here as an open question or if I just push the change that answer the question. No, I just pushed the answer to the question. So should copying an OCI image to a different registry be allowed? So that's basically the crux of it. And so like my initial inclination was not to allow it. And in the end, so after some back and forth, kind of decided not to allow it. So you will not be able to. So so like I'm just saying this, like this is like a change that happened today as well. So you all are aware when you're reviewing this proposal. But that was what prompted all this discussion about the oh my God, forgot the name.
Replication
The
scenario.
replication. Yeah, the replication scenario.
Mhm.
So in the end, when you see so this API in here, we are going to remove the registry from here so that you know that you will not be able to change the registry, right? But that prompted the question about what happens if you replicate the registry. So that was a problem that just bubbled up today that eventually we'll have to address in this proposal.
So if we can game this out just a little bit, it'll help me better understand where the sticking point is. So if the image has been replicated from North America to Asia, and then I go to do a copy from the North America to copy my bundle from the North America uh, registry to the Asian registry, what happens?
So let me see if I understood what you're saying. So you have your bundle in the North American registry.
Mm-hmm.
And by means of the registry, the images were copied. So they were replicated into the Asia registry. Okay, so no intervention from image package. Images
Right.
just showed up in the Asia side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you're asking, what happens if you copy from the North American registry to the Asian one again?
Oh, wait. Now I think, okay, by me trying to propose that, I'm now think I'm seeing better the scenario, the problematic scenario. The problem is, here, let's see if I understand it, is that the person who then, so the replication happens, and then the person who then is pulling from the Asian registry, having no idea how those images got there. Got it. So I go to do a pull of this of the image, pointing at the image that is the bundle that had gotten replicated. I go to do a pull, and all those references are now pointing back to North America. I see. Yeah, I mean, I think we sort of have a really interesting general problem around replication in general. Um, like uh, being able to bring image package up to date, that is, update the images lock, with whatever happened in replication, like in general.
When you guys say replication, do you mean copy, or is there a difference between replicating a registry and copying a bundle?
Yeah, imagine you have installed JFrog Artifactory, so like a commercial OCI registry in these two countries. You can configure these things have like rich feature sets. You can do all kinds of stuff with them. And one of them is you could say, well, if somebody pushes an image to the North America instance of my registry, I'm a multinational company. Maybe I'll in the background I want the registries to share, like with nobody touches automatically in the background, copy that to the Asia one, and maybe even vice versa. Who knows? Like, but all this stuff like happens without any user intervention. It's configuration of the registries themselves.
Okay, so image package will not replicate a registry, but it will copy a bundle. Okay.
Great question.
So there's like, for example, like
Hmm.
Azure one, the Azure Container Registry does this seemingly, like you don't have an idea. You can just have like a one URL for the registry and you will pick up the best depending on your location to give you the images. So this, for example, it would not apply on a case like this. They have like geo replication, but for example, in Arbor, you can have two registries that are connected in this particular way that have two different URLs. So in order for you to get the image from a particular Arbor instance, for example, you'd have to get it directly from there.
Does this use case still maintain the constraint that anytime you're pulling a bundle, there's, I can't think of how to word this, but like right now we rely on the fact that when you copy a bundle, all the images will be in the same registry. And I'm assuming a replication sort of still keeps that guarantee that you're not just going to move the bundle image over, you know, all the images will go along with it. So why do we even because we're disallowing the case of copying two different registries, why do we care about the registry? Why can't we just use the repo from the destination or like wherever, and then always do that same sort of fallback behavior of we'll look in where we're pulling from first. If it's there, we'll use that. Otherwise, we'll use like the original location or something like that. Disclaimer,
Yes.
I haven't read through this proposal. So
So
if it's something that's addressed, stop me and I can just read through it on my own.
no. That's exactly the problem, right? Like it's going to be a question of ordering and that's not captured yet. So let me try to go into, so one thing that I realized that I don't think I wrote explicitly like what is the order in which image pack is going to try to find your images at. So the original intent was there will be a tag like an OCI image in the same repository as your bundle that has the following tag: SHA-256, then the SHA of the bundle, image package locations that contains a file that contains the basically like the where the images were, where the images, like what is the original place where the images are. That's because that's the information we have in the images log file and where it is right now. So that would be the first place where image package would try to find this particular image, this one here.
Is that where it is? So that where it is currently gets updated on a copy or something like that to replace the registry domain. It's not just like what repo should we look for it in.
Exactly. So this was the original proposal. Like this, if you copied again this bundle that now lives somewhere inside this yet another registry to the, I don't know, blue registry.io, this location in here, the change would be that this would become blue.registry.io. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and so this is the first place where to try to see, okay, so I'm going to try to find this image that you care about, and I'm going to search on this particular location first. So the second place where you to try to find the image would be, I think it is just right there. I think that was what the original proposal was. So there are like two possible locations, or no, eventually three possible locations. No, two. I think two is enough, because we are always going to create, depending on, it doesn't really matter what the strategy is for you to copy from A to B. We are always going to create this tag. We're always going to create this file. So this file will always be there as long as you copied a bundle from one place to another. So we know for sure that there are only two places where this image can be. So it is in this place or in that one place.
So this is sort of removing that implicit location of bundle, repo, add a digest.
Yes. So in today's world, because we copy all the images, when you copy from registry A to registry B, you copy all the images to the same repository as the bundle, and you can access the image just by using the SHA of that particular image that you're looking for, right? And this changes that the way it works. So it is also possible, that's like our default strategy. If you don't do anything, if you don't say like, I want to use strategy blah, it will do that. So the default behavior is going to be the same. But now you can specify there's another strategy that allow you to keep the repository name of the image by default. And then there are like a list of overrides that you can say, I want this particular image to be placed in that particular place. And so, yeah. So the problem here is that now we have like a possible third registry on the mix that we don't have any clue about, because the image package was not the one responsible for moving the image there. So that's an issue.
And we want to keep this behavior able to handle different registries. Like, I guess what I'm thinking is why do we even need the full location? Why can't we do something similar to how it does, like fallback to the bundle repo, look for the digest, if it's there, use that, and instead have the location just be a repo and fall back to bundle location registry, that repo digest, and if it's there, use that, otherwise use the original location or a different variation. But like you've mentioned, that sort of fails in the case that we allow different registry copying and stuff like that, like once you introduce the ability to do that.
So that was more or less my idea. So my idea was to remove this from here. And the location is going to be only the repository. So the namespace plus the repository where you put the image at.
Mhm.
The only caveat here is that we need one extra information, that is where this where was this at in the moment of the copy? So what is the registry that you place the image at when you did the copy to start off? So let's imagine you are in registry A, you do an image package copy to registry B, you have a replication from registry B to registry C. So now when you pull from registry C, you want to copy the images not from here, not from registry B, but from registry C. Nevertheless, if not all images got replicated, because you can, this is where it becomes very hard, because like you can define whatever you want to replicate and you might not replicate all the images. So we need to have a fallback to registry B to get the images from registry B. And if they don't exist there, then it goes to registry A. Did that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So there are replication techniques where all images don't get brought over.
Yeah, so like, for example, Arbor has like another interesting issue somewhat that could be somewhat more complicated for us. Let me see if I can find the link for their replication. So you can set replication rules in Arbor. For example, you can define which tag you want to copy. And if that's the case, because we create an image that has its own tag, it might not get copied at all when it's being replicated. So this can cause us like another completely different range of problems, but I think we're going to ignore these for now. And we're just going to say, okay, we will do our best effort, and our best effort is where the bundle is. Then we are going to try to search and see if it exists in the bundle, in the registry where it was copied to first. And if it doesn't exist there, it goes to the default. That's like the original place.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like there's always going to be a configuration of replication that can break the tool. So I think like controlling for all of those cases is probably pretty extreme and out of scope. So
Yeah, I think is worth digging in so much that if we can provide a good user experience when that happens, that like we're clear about what we attempted. Like, oh, try to find this image here, and then looked over here, and then looked over here, and it can't find it. Is better than couldn't find the image, quitting. It's like there might be things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the end, this would be like somewhat like transparent for the user, because in one hand, it might have like an impact on your when you're doing something, because it might take like a lot more time. Let's imagine it to have a 10 gig image that you need to transport all over the world, right? Like it becomes very time consuming. So that's a problem. But in the end, it shouldn't fail you in any substantial way, because we should be able to get your image into place.
So the image location is sort of an attempt to try and help support the pull operation in doing this
Yes.
lookup, and it's just so that it can update the image's lock file, right, on the pull. That's what this is about. Okay. So you could there might be some options to sort of like eventually make this better and better, like you know, a warning or a linting that says, hey, I want to make sure that this thing is only pointing to a particular registry or something. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the only case that this will fail is going to be an air-gapped environment, because you might not have access to the wide internet where the image exists, right? Like, so let's imagine that you replicate from outside your firewall to inside your firewall, and you do not replicate all the images. We will not be able to get you one of the images because it's outside of the firewall, right? But in that case, there isn't much we can do. Like, as a tool, we'll not be able to save you in this particular case.
Yeah, and that probably, I think that's a feature. Like, like
Exactly.
if you're in that mode, yeah. Although I guess there's another part about that. Like if you're in an air-gapped environment, I think folks that live in that world are pretty sensitive to any tool that's trying to reach out to a location that they did. Yeah, that whole thing. Um, hmm.
This seems though like not even a problem of the proposal. Like image package currently would also suffer from the same problem if like something's partially relocated.
Yeah.
So it seems like something we just like document that like if you do have replication rules or something, like ensure all the things get moved or something, or else image package has like undefined behavior or something like that. Maybe not undefined, that's a little strong, but
Yeah, like I wonder if it helps simplify the whole thing if, I don't know if this is oversimplifying it, if the essence of the feature that you're scoping out, Joao, is purely focused like that. There's no mention whatsoever of registry in any of the configuration. That what we're doing is providing there a an alternate structure, repository structure that things could land on a copy, where images could land on a copy.
So can you repeat that last part?
Yeah, that all we're doing is we're saying, okay, it used to be that all the images would land in a single repo in the target registry. What you could do is take the simple case, you're like, okay, well, I want to move just one image into a different repository, must be in the same registry because you're copying to that registry. So I get to say, very special image goes into this one other repository. And then motivate another one. It's like, well, I got some overrides, like multiple overrides, and then you get a bunch of overrides, and then it's like the ability to just describe the shape of what set of repos you want images to land in, but the assumption is, well, it's always one registry. The target is always one registry. And that's just sort of a base assumption. Now, there might be something that follows on from this. So this like helps with the issue of I've got everything stuck in a single repo, and now it's I can't, as a human being, I can't tell heads or tails about what is what. And maybe there's this, so that's this proposal solves that problem. And then maybe there's this follow on that says, oh yeah, so things happen outside of the tool, outside of image package, and we like to give it more, be able to give it more information somehow. To be able to say, oh, well, this stuff got replicated. I want to update you on where these things are located when you go to do a pull. So maybe it's something that does generate an image destination image. uh, or what have you, that like help that like helps support that rewrite strategy on the pull. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. So in one hand, I think that having a some sort of like a to registry or like a registry field in this file that would have like this could help us have like one more place to check. And I don't think it's going to be too expensive for us to build. So I think I would like to incorporate that. And then you'd have like 3 places where you can search for it. It is in the current location in this repo, current registry in this repo, on the to location on the repository plus this repo to see if the image is there. If they are different, like the first and the second choice are different, and then the third location where we try to find the image, it's right there.
And where did that value come from? Is that the original value?
So this value is the value that exists exactly. Yes, it's the original value that you put in the images log file.
Okay, so that's already in the images lock.
Yeah,
But it's a way that it's the key into the
it's
images
the key
lock
to
say,
connect this part.
got it. That's pretty crucial because you need that digest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I was
Huh.
planning on adding that.
Do you
And
need
we'll
do you
see
need more than the digest there?
in here.
Yeah.
In theory, no, but it makes it easier. You can just compare 2 keys. You have a key you can just compare to. You don't need to do manipulation of the keys. You don't need to because on the images log side of the world, you have the repository with namespace registry in the SHA. So like the full image location. So you'd have to be trimming that string, while in here you can just do a simple compare. So in theory, it should be able to be just a SHA. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that might help make the intent of this mapping A, more clear, and B, potentially more extensible. That like um uh that the key would have a list of locations. Like imagine if the digest itself was the key and what it contained was a list and those were all locations.
You'd have to add always one location, nevertheless, right?
Would you?
Mhm.
What would that be?
The current registry, where the bundle is, because it might not match. So like this location is always going to be just one place. Even if we do a list, it is going to be just one place, and it is the place where you copy the image to, right?
Hmm.
So, and for that, you need to always add the origin. That is equal to what you have in the images log. And you'll also have to add one extra, that is the current location where the bundle is, the current registry where the bundle is, if it is different from this one here.
But don't I'm just trying to understand. So but don't I have that in hand when I do a poll? Don't I have that?
Oh yeah. When you do the pull, yes. But this is not this is something that we're going to store on the registry
Mm-hmm.
when you do the copy.
Okay.
So when you
Yep.
do the copy, you don't have like all this information.
Hmm.
Because of replication.
Okay. Okay. I have to chew on this.
Mm-hmm. So one other thing that I'd like Kiel's opinion here is, so we do have as the API say, let me just go up a little bit. So we do have some overrides. You have a matcher. So they are the same as the cabled one. So image repo matches on the on the image repo plus registry. And then there's like image that matches exactly the image with the SHA. And then there's this destination field that we are going to remove the registry from it. So what do y'all think this key should be called?
I mean, it's a repo, right? It's always a repo.
Yes.
So dest repo.
Could it be confusing though that that first key is called image repo, but also contains the registry? Because like one of them, they both have the repo in it, but one of them contains the registry and one of them wouldn't be able to contain a registry. If we change destination to destination repo or something.
Interesting.
I'm curious why that one is image repo.
It is because it's the same in kbuild. That's the only reason why it's called. Like previously, this was called something like, this was called exact match, and this was called something like match registry and repo, something like that. But then after talking a little bit, we decided to go and try to have the same matcher names for all the tools, and try to, so that people that use kbuild know how to use image package and reverse. So that's more or less, that's why it is called image repo here and image there.
Okay.
Okay then. So is there like any other topic? I don't want to be using the full time. Oh, 10 minutes. There's another topic there. So maybe let's just park this. If y'all have any suggestion for this field, just let me know. I'll be working on this today. And since John and Eli are going to approve this by tomorrow, we have like this buffer, right? Cool.
Right.
Thank you.
I don't see any other topics.
Yeah, I don't either.
That's fun because I was looking at the previous week, so
The
there's
previous week, yeah, yeah.
So we can still chat if you really want to talk about that, continue on with that topic. Or do you feel like we're in a comfortable spot?
Yeah, I mean, are there any more open questions? You had a list of open questions there. Were there any other ones that were worth kind of teeing up?
So I wrote a message on that particular on that, but so I wrote a message in Slack, but then I didn't send it. Is this the screen, correct screen? Yes.
Yeah, which is weird because I didn't get it.
Yeah, it was just poking y'all to look at it, but then I didn't do it because this question rose. But basically, there are 3 open questions at this point in this proposal. One, it is, should we wait or not for Artifact OCI in order to implement this? Because in theory, if you wait for the Artifact OCI, we don't need to create this image locations image that contain only that file where they have the translations, because in theory the OCI artifact is going to kind of solve that problem. The other question is if it would make sense to have like an intermediate step that would just using a flag instead of having to provide a file to select a strategy. And the other one was oh, I think, yeah, that's the second one. So in the end, I think these are together. But in the end, I think these are implementation related questions and also priority related questions. So I don't think we need to answer them before we get the proposal out. Because To be fair, the artifact, the OCI artifact, I think it's going to take some time for it to be out. So, and I don't think we want to hold for now, but it's good to have this information that maybe eventually when the artifact OCI comes out, there might be a easier way for us to implement this.
Yeah, am I right in thinking that the image location tagged image is just an implementation detail of how we carry that, how we store that information in the registry? And okay, well, maybe it'll get officially supported in some other location, and we would just migrate over there to be able to support both for a while.
Yeah, with the artifact, the OCI artifact, we can just add it to the image, to our bundle as a dependent image there, and then it would be much easier because now we are relying on a tag. In the tags, we all know that they are not immutable, so people could change the tag from to another image, completely break everything or something like that. And when the OCI artifact comes out, we have the ability to keep this as an image and like branded there in the place there where it should be. So in the end, I think it would make it better, but it's not something that we need.
Yeah, I see. And then the other piece about the flags, like whether or not to specify that, be able to specify this on the command line. Is that my understanding that other question? Is that what that is essentially? I
So
mean,
I created
it,
like a bunch of like steps for us to implement. So like I have an implementation breakout of what I think it should be like the um, the most important, like the MVPs for each phase. And when we implement the strategies, we are kind of forcing you to provide a file with a strategy that you want to select, but you will not be able to do overrides on the first MVP. So only on the second MVP you'll be able to do overrides. So the question is, would it make sense for us to be able to just toggle this with a flag in a temporary fashion or in like a more long-term fashion? I don't know, but I feel that it's more like an implementation detail that the proposal doesn't need to prescribe for that right now.
that's fair. And it doesn't seem, I mean, I think the one thing that's interesting there would just be exploring the possible, some possibilities. But you're right. That's sort of an added value thing, as opposed to you need this to decide whether or not to move forward with the idea.
Cool. This is also a good time. If anyone has like any generic question about this proposal, you can just ask as well.
When do I get my Starlark expressions?
MVP 4 or 3, what is that? Like it's the final one. There you go. But it will look neat, but it is the last step.
Am I going to have to install YTT to use that?
No, you will not. YTT will magically just run inside your image package in this case. It's magic.
Fancy.
It's going to be like a WASM module. Okay.
Okay, so if there is nothing that comes to mind, I think from my side, I'm good.
This is great work. Appreciate you putting all this thought and detail in it and turning all these rocks over. Thank you.
Cool. Before we end things, we have 5 minutes left. Is there anything that popped up that anyone wants to bring? bring up, just talk about? Good. Okay. Well, thanks again for joining this week's edition of the Office Hours. If you're watching this from home, we do meet for these Carvel Office Hours every second and fourth Thursday of the month at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. And it's just an opportunity for you to join the maintainers and if there's any help you need, any questions you have regarding the Carvel tool suite, it's a great opportunity for you to bring that up here. If you aren't able to make the office hours, we also have our Carvel community meetings that happen every Monday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. And that's just another opportunity for you to join, and you can listen in, you can bring topics up for discussion, whatever you might need from the maintainers. And with that, we do hope to see you at one of those options, and have a great week. Bye.